Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 149 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So when you're ready for what is next, you've often come to a place where maybe you've come out of hiding. You are finally coming up for air long enough from all the to-dos in your life to see that things have changed while you have been humaning, being a parent, working, doing all the things. The world has changed and so have you. And maybe you have new priorities. Maybe it's a new season in your life. Maybe you are noticing new opportunities that seem interesting. Maybe you even see that something just doesn't feel quite right. Either way, no matter where you're at, today I'm going to break down the 4 signs to know that you're ready for what is next. So the first one is that you can't stop thinking about the question, what is next? And it's usually because you're either bored or you're overwhelmed. And in that state of boredom, for example, life might feel very comfortable, but it also might feel a bit stale. This is usually when you're looking for a challenge. You're looking for some new energy to be infused in your life. And humans love that feeling of just enough challenge. Not too much, but just enough. The opposite happens, though, when you're overwhelmed, too much challenge. You'll also be thinking about what's next then. Why is that? Because you feel like this is unsustainable. The way that you're working, the way that you're living is unsustainable. You might be committed to doing this for the next 6 months, the next year, maybe even the next week, but you can't see yourself in the same place, living the same way, eating the same way, moving your body the same way, maybe working the same way, or having the same kinds of relationships for the foreseeable future. So these 2 places, bored or overwhelmed, will often drive us to these patterns of thinking about what is next over and over and over again. The next sign is that you're looking around at other people's lives. You're asking, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? You want to see if maybe someone else has figured this out and you just haven't. And you might even ask people if they're happy or if they're feeling bored or overwhelmed like you. You ask them maybe if they want more in their life, or maybe if they have the same desires as you do to do something different with their life or career. Whether or not you're actually having these conversations out loud, you begin to have conversations in your head. It's like doing market research on whether or not this is actually something that people do. Do people like you actually make these kinds of changes? And instead of being mired in your day-to-day, you start looking around, you start getting a pulse on what else is going on in people's lives, in people's heads. And when you start thinking about making a change, you're often in this place where you're thinking about other people and their opinions, their thoughts, their desires too. And then what happens often is when you start looking around, the next sign happens, which is this. You think, well, actually, maybe this is all there is, and I should be grateful. That third sign is that even if you do start to think and wonder about something different or more, you notice that you feel a little bit guilty. You might use that comparison to others and find people who are less fortunate than you, and you start seeing, okay, well, you know what? My life isn't as bad as that, so I should be grateful. And I'm not supposed to rock the boat. I'm not supposed to think about this next thing. Why do something big if nothing's really wrong? And I want to start off, right, to let you know that your life doesn't have to be wrong. We're not fixing things. Things don't have to be this massive problem for change to occur. Change is just natural. And it is what occurs. If you look outside your window, you'll notice that the seasons change. The world around you changes. The weather changes. So there's some kind of change that's happening regardless of whether we desire it to or not. And it's not always a problem. But you might be wondering, are you set up for that change? Do you feel ready? Do you want to change in a specific way? And that question really is about progress. Am I making progress and not just changing, right? Because changing could also mean not making progress. But what we're thinking about here is when we're thinking about what's next, it's often the sense of almost more presence, more acceptance, more inner peace, more desire to be okay with life. So we're not saying that everything is this massive problem that you're trying to solve when you think about what's next, but you do start to answer that question because you start to ask that question. And that's what leads you to that fourth sign that you're ready for what's next, is that you start to think, well, if this is all there is, and then you have an answer, and usually the answer becomes, well, actually, no, this is not all there is. You start to think this fourth thing. Well, there must be a better way. So that is the fourth sign. There must be a better way. There must be a better way to parent. There must be a better way to work, to love, to live. You start to see that it has nothing to do with gratitude for what you have in your life. It is a sign of your growth. It is a sign of your evolution. And you start to see it as natural. And that the reason you're asking these questions is because you're ready for the answers. And many times we think, you know what, if I start down that path of questioning my life, what if I go too far? We don't think that we can't come back. Yet the question is just a question, right? It's almost like debating is an art and a skill. It's not about arguing or having anger and high emotion, although you can have passion. It is an art of looking at something and having those critical thinking skills be applied. And so when you're asking those questions, I would just let yourself be in the space of curiosity, of inquisition, of almost like that scientist approach of let me understand this a little bit differently or a little bit better. Maybe there isn't a better way. Maybe there is. And if you're asking the question, you'll likely find an answer. And those who tend to desire to examine their life, which if you're listening to this, or if you do personal development work, or if you want to get better in small and different ways, you're likely someone who looks at your life. And you generally won't be afraid to ask these kind of questions. You might even feel this sense of excitement about the possibilities of what's in store, finally having that conversation. Maybe you don't have these conversations with the people around you and you're hungry for them. And so even if you don't know the answer to exactly what is next, you just know that there is a better way of living. And that gives you hope. That gives you belief. That gives you courage to ask that next question, which is, well, what is next? What is next? So that is how you even get to the place where you're asking that question. Those 4 signs, my friends. So if you're ready and you're like, I think I'm here, I'm ready to figure out what's next, you'll want to attend my upcoming masterclass. This will help you figure out what's next. That is what masterclass is about. It is on March 8th. You can go to mayemson.com/next to sign up, and you will learn the 3 phases of where you're at in your career and your life and the different kind of crossroads that you can be at, and what to do in each of these phases to figure out what's next. And I'll share what I've learned from coaching achievers through these crossroads, and you can learn more about the Spiritual Achiever coaching program as well. I will share some more details. If you have questions, you will get the answers as well. And if you love this kind of content and love listening to this, coaching takes this one step further. It moves from the level of mastery, which is just the cognitive level, to the physical masteries where you actually do these things in your life. If you want that for yourself, where you get to experience what it looks like to not just think about what's next, but to figure it out and then to live it and to start doing those things, then you will want to schedule a consultation to learn more. We can answer all of your questions about coaching, whether this is a good fit for you, and how it can help you on your journey. And you can go to mayemson.com/contact to learn more. All right, my friends, don't forget to sign up for the masterclass at mayemson.com/next. I would love to see you there. All right, my friends, have a good one. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.